Hi folks, I'm Autumn, the Yellow Rose Stitcher. Welcome to my channel. This is a Flosstube channel, so it's mostly about my cross stitching, as to say, but I'm also a multi-crafter, so there's a little bit of knitting and quilting once in a while. There's a little bit of that today, not much. But today is Saturday, July 16th, 2022, and it's about 8:30 in the evening, and this is take two. I don't know how. Hopefully the lighting will be okay. I normally do these videos earlier in the day, so hopefully the lighting won't be goofy. But as I say, welcome, and hope you enjoy the video. It's been a month since my last video, which is normal. I usually just film once a month. I don't really see I don't stitch fast enough to, I don't think, to film any more often than that. But I say it's been a busy month since our last video. I say my husband and I came down with a chest cold, and then just before trying to get ready to leave town, and we took a trip up to New Jersey to see our son, who was up in New Jersey for 5 months in an manufacturer specific automotive training, which he finished up and graduated from that 2 weeks ago. Has it been 2 weeks? June 24th? Yeah. So that was a really good trip. Long drive. We drove instead of flew because he has a little car, and he had bought, his training is, he's a automotive technician, so his training was with Mercedes-Benz, and so he's now a certified Mercedes-Benz technician. And while he was up there, he bought some more tools that he didn't have room to bring home because his car was packed to the gills when he went up there in the first place. So instead of flying, we drove, and it's the first time that I have been past Georgia. So, but it was a good trip, and it was great to be able to be there for his graduation, and to meet his teachers, and we got a tour of the facility. And but I say that was on Friday the 24th, was it the 24th, the 27th? I'd have to look at the calendar again. But anyway, that week before, my husband and I stopped for about a day and a half in Philadelphia, and that was a lot of fun. I say I'm a huge history buff. I love history, and so to be able to see the Betsy Ross house, and went to the Ben Franklin Museum, and it was neat because Christian, our son, was only an hour away. So the day that we were there, the Wednesday before, he got out of class about 2 and was able to drive into Philadelphia in time that we did a tour of Independence Hall, and then went through and saw the Liberty Bell and had dinner, and then he turned and went back to his place. And but as to say, it was a really, I would say we barely scratched the surface of seeing Philadelphia. I would love to go back. It was I bought a book I wish I'd had before we left, because there's just this historic Philadelphia book, and so many places to see and historic sites. And so anyway, I've read a little bit of it, and but definitely would like to go back, and because that was just a lot of fun. And I took a stitching piece with me, and I'll show it here in a minute with my finishes. So I guess that's enough waffle of updates, and you want to see stitching and not hear about my vacation. So I was trying to think if there was anything else to say, and I apologize again. I wasn't very good about replying to the comments that I had from my last video. I say we were traveling, and so I didn't necessarily I'm not good about, they came into my email on my phone, but I'm not real good about emailing on my phone because I tend to make way more typos and things. So, and then I got home from our trip, and then our son came back. He arrived home the same day we did, and getting him packed up to move to Austin So he starts a new job this Monday. So he had a few weeks turnaround time to get home, and luckily for him, he's had two friends, his best friend and another friend that he's known since Cub Scouts, that have lived in Austin for a couple of years. And so when he found out he was getting a job in Austin, they looked for a new place and found a townhouse that they could all share. So they all moved into it last weekend, and but before that was getting him settled and getting him packed up, and and then I've watched my granddaughter. I've been watching her more here lately, so we've just been going. So have managed to get a little bit of stuff, stitching done, so amazingly, with everything else going on. So I'll quit yammering on about stuff and let's get to talk about stitching. But I don't think I finished my thought there. Sorry. I wanted to apologize for not being responsive to the comments. I did see them, and from my last video, I showed a stitching piece that I've stitching for my son. I guess I can show it again. It was called Monochrome Eagle, and it calls for a DMC that you can't get here in the States. And so I can't finish it until I get that in. Anyway, there's some gaps up here. I don't know with the lighting. There's some spots there and up here on this side. But anyway, I had a comment from Karen, and thank you so much, Karen. I haven't gotten the thread yet, but anyway, Karen from Canada says that the color that is needed for this, that apparently isn't sold in the U.S., is she could get it in Canada, and so she is sending me a skein so I can finish the eagle, and that's so sweet. Thank you so much. And I ended up showing this to my son when he was here. I'm not very good at waiting for surprises. Anyway, he really liked it. So, is it sideways? Nope. There we go. So anyway, I'll get that finished and get framed and get it for him so he can put it in his new place. So we'll get that. But again, I wanted to thank, and several other of you commented and gave DMC color suggestions. So really appreciate all your suggestions and your help. So hopefully before the next month I can get this finished and get it off to the framer, which I'm not sure where I'm going to get things framed now. Our local shop, the Stitch Niche, sent out an email, and within the last month they've decided to stop doing custom framing. So I have another lady that I really like taking my framing to, that is out in West Texas, and it's like 2 hours from here. So my parents used to live out there, so it wasn't a big deal to go visit my folks and then take stuff out there to her. But a 4-hour round trip is a bit much to have to go get something framed. So I may try to frame this one before. I have framed stuff before. It's been a long time since I've done anything, so if I can find the right frame, I may try again. We'll see. So but this month I have a fully finished object, and then a finish, and one new start. So I'll start with my new start. What's it say in my and this is, I showed the pattern to you last month. It's called the Tomato Harvest Drum, and it's by Lucy Beam Stitches. Anyway, really cute. They had this stitched up and made on the counter at the Stitch Niche, and kits available for a finishing class coming up in the first weekend of September. And so I signed up. I think I was the last person. I took the last opening for the class. So anyway, it was really cute sitting there on the counter. So I've got that started, and haven't gotten as far as I probably should have, but I have a month and a half. So I started on, and then you're supposed to start in the center of the fabric, in the center of the chart, so you're sure to have enough going around to do your drum. So that's the tomato, and these little green dots are little green tomatoes. I haven't gotten the stems on them yet, and but the basket here, or dish, has Algerian islets. See if you can see those. Really enjoyed stitching those. Those were fun. I haven't done any specialty stitches in a while, so, and to me it's funny. I posted a picture on Instagram, and it looks like a tomato sundae. To me, it looks like a little sundae dish. So anyway, so a little progress there, and I am stitching this with, let's say, I'm trying to remember what came in the kit. It is 32 count parchment by Weeks Dye Works, and all of the thread is DMC. So, like I said, it was a kit, and so after I've been doing some patriotic stitching, and so now I can get back to working on this. So put that away. There. Okay. Then, and I can't remember if I showed this in my last video. I think I might have, so if I'm repeating myself, apologies. This was another, if you've been following along or my other videos, one of my goals is to make drums and biscornus for a shelf that I've got. It's a wood shelf that was given to me by my brother years ago, and I had to have it stripped, and I finally got it painted, and my husband and I went the other day and finally got hardware to hang it up. So I think now that my son has moved out, I've turned his bedroom into a little playroom for my granddaughter, and I think I might move these pictures into that room because they're more, I don't know, kiddish. So, and I may put my red shelf up there. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll be up there my next video next month. So we'll see. But anyway, a squirrel. I started American Harmony number 2 by Summerhouse Stitchworks, and this is the biscornu. So, and the pattern is double-sided. It's different stitching, and I've started on this side. So that's the stitching I've gotten done so far. So still quite a bit more to do, and I'm stitching it on. Let me see, where did I put? Sorry, can't find my. I try to fill out little info cards to keep up. Well, okay, I can't find my card. I'll have to go hunting for that, sorry. But the thread is both Classic Colorworks and Blacksmith Blue and Cherry Cobbler. And it's stitched on 32 count. And, as I say, I'll have to look for the card. That makes me think, or reminds me, I was gonna... So, I've never been really good about keeping track of what I'm working on. Certainly not before Flosstube and watching that, but I, got a calendar and trying to record my stitching and what I'm doing. I bought a sticker book, but my stickers are too big to fit. It covers up the dates. Anyway, you don't need to know that. Anyway, but it got me thinking earlier today, like before Flosstube, how many stitchers really tracked what they stitched and when and what they stitched it on, and I should say, because I certainly never did before, and it just got me thinking. I'm curious why we do that. Why do we care? So I don't know if you've got thoughts on that you want to share. It's just curious. I mean, I do it, or I should say, I'm trying to get better at it. I'm not always great about recording. At the beginning of the year, I wanted to try to track how long I stitched, time-wise, to see how long it took me to stitch things, and even with just my husband and I, there's too many interruptions. I get up too many times. I don't remember to set the timer. So I gave up on trying to keep track of how long I stitched and just recording what I stitch or what I work on that day. So anyway, I was curious about y'all's thoughts about if you keep track of what you stitch on and when and why we do it. Anyway, and if anybody else has thoughts on that. So that was American Harmony number 2. I say I want to get back to that. So that was my whips. Since we're on whips, I guess I'll go ahead and show. Wrong side. I took knitting with me on our trip for the car, and I didn't get very far. I took cross stitch for the hotel rooms, but I didn't get a whole lot of sewing or knitting or stitching done. I'm just not good about that, and doing it in the car. And then I have carpal tunnel, and so I had trouble with my fingers falling asleep. There's, I have good periods and good and bad as to how long I can stitch or do things before my fingers fall asleep. And so I didn't get a whole lot done. I don't even know if you'll be able to tell because I showed this hat in my last video. It's called Declan's hat. I'll show you a picture of it. Let's see, it's got cables that run up all the way around, and it's been fun. I've enjoyed knitting the cables. So I need to put a progress keeper on here so I can track how much I've gotten done. I've got a bunch of them over there, but I don't have one. But I think I was about here in the last video, right about where the cable crosses. So I got a little ways, but it'll be really pretty. This will be a hat for myself. And the yarn is just so yummy. It is. The colorway is called Wild Blueberry, and it's by Bad Sheep Yarn. Oops, there. And badsheepyarn.com if you want to. Anyway, I'd been follow her on Instagram and kept seeing pictures of this yarn and finally broke down and bought some because I love the colors. So, and it's a really nice yarn base. It's a worsted weight, and it's 100% merino wool. So, let's say not a whole lot of progress, but still, progress is progress, right? I got a little bit further. It's not like I'm going to need it anytime soon with triple digits here in North Texas, for sure. It's been the heat wave we had up until, I can't remember, yeah, it was Thursday. We had 11 straight days of triple digit temperatures, and then on Thursday we had some storms pop up south of, I live in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. We had some storms pop up and cooled things down. I think our high for Thursday was 96, so it broke the stride of triple digits. But Friday and today and the forecast for the next week is still all above 100, so we're right back at it. And no rain. We didn't get any of the rain from the storms. We got cloud cover, and we're on the south end of the Metroplex, so it teased at our house that it was going to rain, but it didn't. I kept standing at the window like, rain, 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 please, but no such luck. So needless to say, I won't need that knitted hat anytime soon. So that, one other whip in quilting, and hopefully I can show this without dumping it all out on the floor in front of me, the table. I'm working on a Bonnie and Camille quilt from this book called Camilla's Beehive, and this is what the quilt will look like. And I bought a kit of their fabric, or not a kit, but a layer cake, and anyway, I bought their fabric to make the quilt. And so I'm doing the lap size quilt, and it takes 456 half square triangles. So I've had them sewn, and I finally have gotten them all ironed and trimmed down, and they're ready to start piecing. Oh, good, I didn't dump it out all on the floor. So got that. So that's what I've done. And then I've got one finished object. I started this back in, to get my library card, in July of 2020. And I finished it July 15th, 2022. And that is the Suffrage Act. So that's my finish. And oh, I had so many mistakes on this thing. Let's say it could go a lot faster if I didn't have to rip things out. But I had a counting mistake down here, and I had to rip out the black once I started to go back with the muddy puddle. Is that what it's? And this is by Little House Needleworks. It came out in 2019, I believe, is the copyright on the pattern, because the 100th anniversary for the Suffrage Act was in 2020. So really tickled with this. Let's just say, and several mistakes, and it's like, oh, can you see it? Nope, can't see it. All right. It's good. A little fudging there. Let's just say it made me think years ago when I was in a quilt guild in a stitch group, when people would, in our stitch group, it was the running joke that when you made a mistake in your quilt, it wasn't a mistake, it was a design element. So I have several design elements in this piece, so but it worked out. And I used all of the called for threads, which are, I believe, let's see, Classic Colorworks, yeah. And then I substituted 2 DMCs for the Classic Colorworks. Instead of blue corn, which is the blue, I used the DMC, and then also pine needles, I used DMC, which I believe is the green in the little pot. So, and I stitched this on 32 count mystery linen. This was something that I just had in my linen drawer, so I'm not sure what it is. It kind of makes me think of maybe an R&R, but I'm not sure. So anyway, now another piece to get fully finished. And one of the recent videos from Pam and Steph of Just Keep Stitching, they showed a video of the brag table from one of the StitchCon weekends, or it may have been both, I can't remember. But anyway, on the brag table, somebody had this finished, and they had mounted it to the front of a hardback book, and I thought that was really clever. I'd never seen that before, so I may try to see if I can find something that would fit on. I thought that was clever, a clever finish. So anyway, another patriotic piece that I can check off the list of whips. So I'm gonna set that aside. I don't want to fold it again. So that's, and I took this piece with me. I forgot to say, I took this piece with me on our trip, and it was cool when we went to see the Liberty Bell. They had some great displays, and there was a display about how the suffragettes had used the Liberty Bell as a symbol for, the right to vote. And so my husband and I went back the next morning, because it's free to get in, and took this with me and took a picture. So the lighting isn't great, because my husband thought we weren't allowed to use flash. I didn't see that sign, so I don't know. But anyway, I may stick that picture in here. So I thought that was kind of fun to take this picture with that display and seeing the Liberty Bell. So anyhow, and I actually have a fully finished object. I got this finished last weekend, and I have had this stitched, I'm not exactly sure how long. I know, but before 2018, because in 2018, that's when my mom introduced me to Flosstube, and I came home after being at their house for the weekend and pulled out all my cross-stitch finishes and everything and went through them, and this was done. It was done, finished stitched before then, and it's the from their All Dolled Up series, and it's called Little Lady Liberty. Anyway, it's a little cute, fun stitch. So I finally got it turned into a little pillow. A friend of mine had given me a little scrap of wool, and it's been sitting in the pattern envelope with it all this time. So we went, and I couldn't find any star buttons, so I found these metal ones that I liked, and they're not great. I had them stitched on the wool before I put the pillow together, and they were all nice and straight, but they were too far over here to the edge of the pillow, so I cut it, and then once I turned the pillow right side out and tried restitching them, so I got them back on, but I didn't quite get them as straight. But it's done, and it's cute. So, and I had this flag fabric in my stash, a scrap of it, when my daughter was in Girl Scouts. They have different levels of awards. If you're not familiar, there's a bronze award, a silver, and then the gold. And so for their silver award, they made 3 quilts, patriotic quilts for wounded soldiers. And it wasn't the Valor quilts, and I can't remember what group it was for. But anyway, I have a whole tub of scraps of patriotic fabric from those quilts that the girls made, and so this I thought was perfect for the back of this. So anyway, I thought it, and I have absolutely no idea what fabric it's stitched on. It calls for 30 count parchment from Weeks Dye Works, and I don't think this is Weeks, because it would have been their older Weeks, which is the looser, which I know a lot of people complain about, but it never bothered me. But I'm pretty sure this isn't Weeks, so I'm not sure what it is, but all done. It's cute. So glad to have another finish. Let's just say I don't know why. I have a whole drawer over here of things that need to be framed or finished, and I don't know why we let things sit so long before getting them fully finished. So building up the patriotic stitching finishes. Let's see. I think that concludes all of the stitching fun. So, is there anything else? Pardon me for a moment. Ugh. So, for plans, I'm going to try to work some more, of course, on the tomato harvest drum, because I only have a few, so it's 6 weeks, 5 weeks to get that finished, and then hopefully work some more on my American Harmony Biscornu and get that worked on. So we'll move into acquisitions. I pulled that out. I've had a few. I had pardon me, and this is not necessarily in the order in which it was purchased, because I wouldn't remember that necessarily. So oh, here we go. Pull it out. So in June, Hands On Design came out with the triple play pillows, which I really liked, so I bought that. And I ordered it from the quilt shop Simple Stitches, and I got the fabric to make the pillows. So I've got that ready to go. I like those colors. So I got that. And then when we were I'll do this first. Was on pre-order for, I don't know, a few months. Lori Hope came out with a new quilt book called Scrappiness is Happiness. So that came in, and there's some great quilts in here. I was gonna say the one I really want to make is called the Checkerboard quilt. Anyway, and it's stitched on this dark navy. So that's the one I'd like to make first. And if you pre-ordered, I ordered this from the Fat Quarter Shop, and if you pre-ordered it, it came with the free pattern. And I believe if you watch Lori Holt YouTube, either on one of her videos or the Fat Quarter Shop, I don't remember, they mentioned though this will come out later, but at first it was only for the people that pre-ordered the book. And it's So Scrappy Spools, which is really, really cute. So that came free with the book. I wouldn't mind. But I still need to organize my scraps. I got started on it and kind of divide things up. I don't have a whole lot of, I don't know if I'd call these brights, but they're brighter. My stuff years ago or over the years have been more traditional kind of, or more country, darker colors. So anyway, I don't know if I'd be able to reproduce it as cute as that with the colors, but anyway, I need to organize my scraps and kind of divide them up into color families, because right now they're just in drawers all together. I tried to divide it up into lights, mediums, and darks, but that was as close as I got years ago. So let's stick that in there. And then when Chris and I were in Philadelphia, we went to the Betsy Ross house, and I was surprised the gift shop had several cross-stitch patterns, or cross-stitch kits, I should say. This is a kit. And there was also, they were all from the same company. And then in the Ben Franklin Museum, they had some different ones. So I ended up buying this from the Betsy Ross house. So, and it's from the Posey collection. And I looked her up online. Apparently she's got different historic stuff at various places. I don't remember specifics now, but anyway, it's a little kit with Ada and the floss to do it. I don't know if I'll ever stitch it, but I thought that was cool, a cool souvenir to have. I was kind of surprised to see cross stitch in the gift shops. So that was, I got that in Philadelphia. And then the day that Chris and I, of course, we had to check out of our hotel by 11, and it was only an hour to New Jersey, where my son was. And so we got to our hotel several, I think 3 or 4 hours before. We couldn't check in until 4, and so we had all that time to kill. So while Chris was in checking to see if we could check in early, I pulled up my phone and searched for local or nearby needlework stores, and Needleworkers Delight popped up, and it was like 45 minutes away. So Chris was say I hadn't been to a craft shop on our whole, usually that's, when we go traveling, I always have to find a craft quilt store, a yarn store, cross stitch shop, something. So anyway, it was a really, really nice shop, and their staff was fantastic. So it was really a really fun shop to get to go to and shop in. And not everything I bought do I have with me, because I ordered some hand-dyed fabric, because some of you may already know this. Needleworkers Delight, the owner, he also owns and runs Silk Weaver Fabrics, which is a hand-dyed linen company. And so while I was there, they had a model of a Rosewood Manor pattern that I'd never seen before, and it was gorgeous. And if I can also say, I took a picture of the model. I'll try to stick it in here. Anyway, they didn't have the pattern, so I ordered the pattern, and I ordered the fabric. It's not the called for fabric and Rosewood Manor's pattern, but he duplicated or got as close to the color in his own fabric. So I ordered that to come in. And then oh, I forgot to pull the pattern. Hang on a second. Let me see if I can pause this. And I'm back. So when I was in shopping around, I came across this pattern, which I already owned, and I don't know how well it'll show up. Anyway, on the back of the pattern, it's stitched on a Silk Weaver fabric called Autumn Blush, and it's a special cut because of this is a long narrow piece, and so I'd never gotten around to order it. And it was like, when I saw this hanging up, I was like, oh yeah. So I ordered the fabric for this, not in, it calls for 46 count, and quite frankly, I don't want to stitch on anything that small because I think I'd go cross-eyed. So, and it, the color of the fabric, it looks like it's just stitched on a white or a cream, but the autumn blush is a real pretty kind of a peachy kind of pink. Anyway, it was a real pretty color. So I think I ordered, I can't remember if I ordered 32 count or 36 count, but anyway, I ordered a piece so that, and I'm probably insane for even thinking about starting this thing because this thing is ginormous. It's, where's the stitch count? Well, on 46 count, you have to get a piece of fabric that's 18 by 30, so that'll give you a clue as to how big this stitch is. Can't see where it says what the stitch count is. Oh, there it is. It's 248 stitches tall by 531 stitches wide. So anyway, I have fabric coming for this, and I'm not sure when it comes. It calls for NPI silks, and then there's a DMC conversion, so I'm not sure what I will, which one I'll stitch it in, but anyway, the fabric for this has been ordered and hopefully will be coming. So 1770 Friesland sampler. Toss that down. So, and also while I was in their shop, I ended up buying, it's Mercy and Grace by Sweet Wing Studios. I'd seen this on social media somewhere, I don't remember where, so I've always liked that. I'd like to have some more Easter things to put out, so I got that. And then from Needlework Press, I got the Pinterbleeth 1838, so I liked that. Picked that up. And then they had a fantastic, in the back of the shop, they had a whole bookshelf full of tubs of old magazines, and I could have spent more time hunting through those magazines because I just love the old ones. Anyway, I picked up this Cross Stitch and Country Crafts. It's November, December 1991. So my husband and I were married in 91. I thought it'd be fun to do this Christmas tree plate. So thought that was pretty. And then also in here, let's just say, and I have from the premiere issue up until, I don't know, 1989 or 80. So surprised I didn't have this one. Anyway, the other one I liked was this piece with the Santas. I'm not a huge, this is probably scandalous to say, because everybody loves the Prairie Schooler Santas and they don't really do anything for me. They're cute enough, but but I thought it would be cool to stitch these individually as ornaments instead of this big piece. I just really liked those too. So bought that magazine, and then the other one I got is from November 1994 of For the Love of Cross Stitch, and I liked this piece on the front. I thought that was really pretty. I like the Pennsylvania Dutch kind of look of this coffee pot, and of course anything that's fall related I generally gravitate toward. And there's a Paula Vaughn piece in here too that I've never seen. So I'd never seen, that looks very different from anything else I've seen of Paula Vaughn's. I've got a few of her books, and I've actually, started some. Anyway, and there was an interview in here of Paula Vaughn, which was an interesting read. How she got started and whatnot. So anyway, that was fun to find a couple of good old magazines to purchase from the Needleworker's Delight. So next, I say again, referencing back to my other videos, if you know, or if you've seen my other videos, I'm contemplating seriously of starting 50 new things for next year, starting in January, because I'll be turning 50 next year. And so I already have 25 things that were already kitted up, ready to go, either because I've kitted them up or I bought them as a kit. And then I have a list of projects that are partially kitted. And so I'm starting to fill in the things that I need for some of those to start. And one of them was a Mirabilia. It's called Ashley's Roses. And I have the fabric. And when I bought the pattern off of Etsy, and by the way, this is an out of print chart, sorry. But anyway, it came with, when I bought the chart, the sellers sold it with the cream fabric. And I've bought a different fabric to stitch it on, and gold beads that are needed. And this one doesn't have a whole lot of beads. It had gold beads, and then so anyway, I made an order from 123 Stitch and ordered the 2 other beads that are needed, which were, there's a pink one, and then this red. So I now have all of the beads and the pattern and the fabric. So now all I need to do is put together the DMC, and this one will be kitted up and ready to go. So that's one more for my 50 and 50. So that one's ready to go. And so, of course, since I was on 123 Stitch, I couldn't just order beads. I have the Little House Needleworks, the ABC samplers, the alphabet pillows. These were the last 2 that I needed to complete the collection of all of these. So I got UVW and RST. So I have now the complete set of these. So I don't know when I'll ever start these, but they're ready to go. And the other collection from Little House Needleworks are the sheep virtues. I've been collecting those. I don't have all of those yet, so I bought Hope, which I don't know if it's, to me it's kind of Christmassy. It may be more winter, but anyway, I thought that might make a cute Christmas ornament. Sorry for the glare. So anyway, those came from 123 Stitch. And then say last weekend, the end of, anyway, recently, Instagram, I follow another stitcher called Bluebonnet Texas, and she posted a picture of a piece that she had bought off of a designer on Etsy, and it was called anyway, it was Fort Worth. And so it was I liked the piece, so I went to the Etsy shop and went looking around, and she had a few Texas cities and other cities from around the world, and she had Austin, Fort Worth. Anyway, doesn't matter. But at the bottom on her Etsy page, she said that she also did custom orders. So I messaged her and asked if she could make one for my hometown of Arlington. And she was super quick to respond and answered my questions about, the cost and so she said, yeah, that she could make one for Arlington, and then asked if there were, anything specific that I would like to see on the chart. And so I mentioned, if you're not familiar, Arlington is where the Cowboys play and the Texas Rangers play. So there's 2 sports arenas, ballpark, stadiums here. So I mentioned that. And then also in Arlington, there's a few years ago, they did a thing with artists to make different stars around town. Most of them are in downtown. But anyway, I mentioned those because you can find pictures of them online. And asked her about maybe incorporating one of the stars that's around town. And then the other thing that's in downtown is a big, I guess you call it a sculpture. They're like, I don't know how tall. Anyway, it says Dream. It's in I wouldn't call it a park, but a green space. That's the phrase. Green space, there's this Dream sculpture. So I mentioned that she could find pictures, and it was absolutely fantastic and so fast. So I messaged her back and forth, I think on a Thursday, and she had the pattern to me by Saturday afternoon. I was like amazed at how fast she did it. So that's the pattern, and I'll link her Etsy shop below in the description box. But she got the AT&T Stadium in, and she got a baseball, and then this was one of the stars that's in town, and it's actually one of the ones I really liked. It has blue and green glass bulbs on it. Anyway, you can tell, and then there's the word dream. So anyway, I just thought it was super cool, so I really want to start this, but I don't know if I should wait till next year. I don't know what I'll do, but I was super impressed with how fast she did everything, and incorporated stuff that I asked for, so it was really cool. And it's called One of a Kind Baby Designs. So she had a ton of like wedding designs and baby nursery stuff. So anyway, but I'll link her Etsy shop below, or you can see. So anyway, I've got some 18 count white Ada in my stash. I think that's what I may stitch this on. So that concludes the acquisitions for this month. So yeah, so I've got some can't wait to get the fabric in from Silk Weaver Fabrics, because I'd actually ordered a couple of pieces of fabric from them even before the trip, and didn't realize that they were in New Jersey and so close to where we were going to be. Pardon me. So, I don't know, they're, everybody's having trouble still getting linens in and stuff, and so it's not like I don't have anything to stitch on, so I can wait. It's not a big deal. So, excuse me. So, trying to think if I'm remembering everything I wanted to say. Oh, in my last video, I had given away a pattern for the Stitch and Stow tote bag pattern to Melanie. Melanie, if you're watching, I apologize that I haven't gotten it out to you. I needed an envelope, but I finally went to the store today and got an envelope, so it will be in the mail this week. So apologies for that, but I'll get that out to you soon. So I don't think there's anything else I need to share. So again, I hope you're enjoying your summer and staying cool in the inside and getting lots of stitching done. And as I say, we'll see you next month, hopefully in the second weekend of the month in August. And yeah, so happy stitching. God bless.